Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevadvashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Vairagya Prakarana, section 20. Denunciation of youth. Good news. The purpose of all the denunciation is to direct your mind to utilize every opportunity God has given you in a positive way. And what opportunity do you have when you are embodied? When you are embodied, all your childhood, I will not describe how does it go, but you don't get much. That's not a stage of Purushartha. And in childhood stage, you are not responsible for your karmas. It's good news. Your mother becomes responsible. Your father becomes responsible, and not you. Karmas are not counted. You don't account for karmas of the childhood stage. But the moment you have gone beyond childhood and kid stage and come to youthful stage, now you have the possibility of practicing self-effort in a most dynamic way, because God has provided for special energy during youthful state of your body. But then again, how do you utilize it? That's where, if you utilize it, no one is greater. I mean, you are the best. If you don't utilize it, then a lot of miseries to follow. So, all the troubles that are associated with experiencing youthful age without spiritual purpose or understanding, that's the subject of this. That's the topic. It's good to know. If you want to give up drug habit, then you must know all the negative things that happen due to that drug. You may not have to take all the drug to understand it, but you will watch how many people suffer, how they lose their mind. They come out of the drunken house, sit down by a canal, and they think they have come to the house. They tap, and the door doesn't open. I'm joking. And they laugh. I'm just trying to just give simple point. Therefore, by understanding the negative movements, the more you understand, you develop an inner sense to try not to commit those mistakes. Utilize your youthful energy for a divine purpose. Sri Rama asked, O sage, having lived through childhood age, one enters youthful stage, but hardly that there is upsurge of joy, that pishacha of kama, the devil of lustful passion, enters the mind, not with full measure, but little spark, starts tickling the brain, and the mind gradually becomes fascinated by pleasures of the senses. A chitta, the mind that is gripped by lustful passion, that leads your youthful to a hellish predicament. The karmas of the childhood stage will not lead you to hell, nor to heaven. But in youthful stage, you become responsible. And you become a little more mature in youth. They are responsible for your money, for your legal rights as well. I'm not, Yoga Vasistha is not touching on that. Mind becomes so active that the young man thinks the more he can expand his mind regarding the pleasures of the world, the more if he can know about all the hotels, where they are, how much money it costs. I'm giving you detail. And how many funds are waiting for you. What films are lined up in the cinema hall. That's how the mind begins to develop a sense of tremendous joy out of being distracted. This is dramatized with Ravana himself. Ravana has 10 heads. Give him one idea, he will interpret it from each head in a different way. If we're studying under him, collect all the 10 attitudes in order to understand what his message is. I'm just giving a picture of distracted mind. But all these that we are describing, they belong to everyone in different degrees. But only thing is, when you gain spiritual aspiration, then you know wrong for wrong and right for right. You don't get confused. You know the movement towards rajasic process, that you are being led away from your strong will and becoming weakened, and movement towards that which is good. Scriptures call it preya and shreya. And mind is constantly facing the challenge. If mind has not been well educated, you don't come in a family that gives you good samskaras, introduces you to profound things. And if you are not backed up by good samskaras from the past, in that case, you live your life without that discrimination. You are led more by what seems good, pleasant, not what is good. It's pleasant to put on more blankets when you are at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then get up and do Surya Namaskar, headstand, japa. So, so that type of youthfulness where you are constantly choosing prayer that pleases your ego, that becomes a source of wastage of your youthful opportunity. And it becomes the basis for creating countless negative karmas. In old age, you have to pay for it by your worries and anxieties and a mind that has nothing good to live for and yet doesn't want to die. Neither here nor there. If you don't want to face that predicament, then the youthful stage, continue. But if you are past youthful stage, don't worry. Your soul is timeless. Bring the understanding you are eternally youthful. Soul never ages. So bring that youthfulness within yourself by turning to God and doing good karmas and so forth, no matter where you are. So the message is not just for youthful people. Message is for all. This spirit of passion, because the instinct to reproduce is so deep-rooted in every soul. You look at dogs, cats, monkeys. That in its instinct in itself is perfectly in divine order. If that instinct was not there, you wouldn't be here. But how to direct that instinct in a way that it will allow your soul to evolve in a spiritual manner? You can become a grihastha householder and direct that energy to bring out good children, become a source of strength in your own family and rendering service to society in so many ways. Therefore, every religion, especially Hindu religion, gives a tremendous emphasis on leading a teenager to marriage whenever he is marriageable. I'm not talking about any age limit. But leading the boy or girl to be married with right match, so that they get involved in integrating their personalities and becoming spiritually advanced. In that case, their distracted passion, uncontrolled passion that goes everywhere, is directed, channelized channelization of that becomes a positive spiritual movement. But when it is unchannelized, then it becomes a very hellish movement. And therefore, being a householder requires a good understanding and a lot of mystical, spiritual training to be a really good householder. But I'm not going into that direction yet. In youthful stage, the mind goes after perverted desires, passionate desires, gambling, and the word is kala, things that are terrifying, something you do that can terrify others. Somehow a teenager finds a tremendous strength in, in becoming a bully. You find every school, there are always some bullies behind the back of teachers. They have their own rules. Rag, attachment, lobe, greed, and all other vikaras, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, delusion, mada, conceit, matsarya, jealousy, all these. Mind that is constantly gripped by these impurities doesn't allow the soul to experience its profound potentiality. Soul is beyond your imagination. Soul is Satchidananda. Whoever crosses over this youthful effulgence, such a person is indeed really successful. Whoever crosses over in a profound way. He is the real human being, he or she. But if youthful stage has degraded you, filled your mind with impure impressions, and damaged your willpower, then imagine the only way you satisfy yourself is by being a bully, pig-headed, swollen ego. So each time you try to remember how successful you are, ego begins to give you dictate. You look, I did this, I did that. There are so many enemies and I've crushed them. And when you think of that, oh, I'm really powerful. All this type of thinking is completely demoniac, hellish. Vidyut prakasham apriyam yauvanam mena rochate. Nimesha bhasurakaram alola ghanagarjitam yut prakasham ap shivam yauvanam mena rochate. There are verses, very advanced literature, ending with each mena rochate, mena rochate. This that I don't like, this I don't like. What doesn't he like? Nimesha matram, just like the lightning flashes, all the clouds light up. What a wonderful thing. But nimesha matram, for a short time. So youthful joy suddenly shines up and its thundering light shakes up the whole forest. And the ego sees what a power. But all that passes away momentarily. It's highly allegorical. Even if you live through an illusion for 50 years, it is just a momentary process. The entire forest becomes alive when there is a lightning that flashes and resonates with the thundering clouds. Madhuram swadu tiktam cha, dushanam doshabhushanam, sura kallola sadrishe, yauvanam me narochate. In youthful stage, mind going after rajasic pleasure finds very fascinating. You don't have to work hard for that. But most people, the moment they have some time to rest, the mind says, let's go to a wonderful restaurant and take waffles all drenched with sugar. And nothing else to think of. How wonderful it will be. And take some relatives also, friends, etc. So while you chew on your waffle, you can talk of many things. And nothing against waffles. So while enjoying, things seem so sweet, but ends up being very bitter. And many traits develop in one's personality that are hated by the society, that are not appreciated. In other words, assist, uncultured mannerism begins to develop. Sanskrit word for youth is yauvan. One is a field. Even the forest called one or bun is a field of joy or sorrow, but it's a vast field. A good forest called upavan. You enter into it and your mind goes up, up, up. You become a swan. Yauvan, you are going into the forest to develop yummy experience, hridayam. But if you are not spiritually directed, if you don't have a spiritual sense, then you go into yauvan. Yau means it becomes a twisted, not a direct goal to fulfill your heart, but going after cravings that fill your heart with ticks. Think of mathematics. Fills your heart with lots of stress. So that's what yauvan is. It could give you both possibilities. You're going into a forest of divine opportunity, and you can be swans, you can be wonderful peacocks, you can have thrilling experience. Or you can just be snakes and roaches, and foxes. If that is so, if you are moving in a negative way, it's called duriyauvan, the wrong type of yauvan. You go positive way, it's called suyauvan. Those who are interested in Sanskrit literature. Youthful stage fills the mind with many erroneous ideas and thoughts. And that youthful stage I don't like. That's what Sri Rama is complaining against. youthful age. Apada mantra ramanam sadbhava rahitantaram yauvanam mena rochate. In youthful stage, mind goes after collecting so many ideas and thoughts and lessons without using intellect. What the mind does, what the youthful person does under the pressure of ignorance, he locks up the intellect in his house, then he goes out. In other words, things that you hold in your mind, the moment you begin to think about it and evaluate it properly, you will not like it. But you don't allow a healthy rationalization. You listen more to the senses in a senseless manner. Things that are pleasant, and mind is fascinated with joy. But once vichara enters your mind, thoughtfulness, those things that are pleasant, they are no longer pleasant. Just as the time of a hurricane and a storm, so many troubles come together, all joined together. In the same way, in youthful stage, all troubles and problems come together. And a young man who has not cultured himself properly becomes a source of inflicting pain to others. And that's against Dharma. Be good, do good, that's the basis of Dharma. But if your life is producing harm to others, that's not Dharma, that's not religion. And yet people in the name of religion, young people, not understanding what religion is, are led to do lots of terrible things. Kanta yoga jatena hridi sparsha vahinina yauvane dahyate jantu tarur dava prina yatha. Just as a forest succumbs to the mighty fire raging all over it, in the same way, in youthful age, don't handle your married status in a proper way, or your love life in a proper way. You are subjected to intense despair. That despair you cannot compare with anything else. Figure that out. If you could handle it and not fall for rajasic, tamasic vrittis of the mind, that's distracted stage or impure aspect of the mind, if you don't fall for it, then profound qualities will develop in your youthful stage. What are they? Nirmal. Mind will be free of impurities, and you will have the strength to develop love for all. It requires a strength. Sublimate anger into love, pride into humility. It requires a strength to face difficult personalities and create a positive impact on them, turn in a positive manner. Jo toko ka tabu hai. That's Kabira's song. Kabira is a great saint, ancient time. If someone comes and with inimical attitude, and sows thorny plants on the path that you go into your room, that path, he covers it with thorns. Because he has developed some type of hatred towards you. So in your absence, he fills the area with thorns. And you come and you are pinched by some of those thorns. And it occurs to you that that particular neighbor has been hating me, and he has done it. And he makes it in his own evaluation that it is perfect, correct information. Once he has gotten it, he hides. When the inimical person is away, he brings beautiful flowers in his garden, all soft petals. All this is highly allegorical, but it can be also literal for people who are very advanced. And the enemy comes. He also wants to know how all this has happened. And he figures it out. Person whom I wanted to hurt, he has done so much good to me. And it is that is considered the real revenge. It's not the word revenge is not literal, it's highly allegorical. Someone wanted to hurt you, inimical, and you send out such wondrous divine feeling and created a situation that the person changes from being negative to positive, being from demoniac to divine. And this type of story is there in scriptures. Even Valmiki, the person who has written this Yoga Vasistha, started his life as a robber and murderer. And he captured Narada, found he had a wonderful veena in his hands. And Narada, just giving a short story of that, tells Valmiki that I will be right here. You want the veena, take it. This negative karma that you are doing, it will have its reward, painful. Who will suffer for your negative karmas? He said, I'm doing all this for my family. They love me. So any karma I do will be shared with them. And they are many and I'm just one, so I will have a little bit. I'm spicing this story. And Narada says, do you really believe that? Ask them. So he ties up Narada in the meantime. And he goes in, he asks. He asks his wife. She says, negative karma, whatever fruit. Hell. Hellish experience. I didn't marry you for anything. That's yours. Turns to his son. Son says the same thing. Turns to his daughter, he says the same thing. She says the same thing. We are not going to go to hell. Then he realizes that all his karma he will have to bear with. So he comes to Narada with a Vairagya type of mind and says, oh sage, I didn't know. You give me initiation into mantra and so forth. The same Valmiki, because of his contact with Narada, turned into a divine saint. It's also the message behind all that. No matter how crooked a person may be, your attitude towards a person should not become degraded, because no one is shut out from the highest attainment. Every soul is essentially divine. If you cannot see the divine in the person, it is your fault. If you cannot change the person to be divine, it is your inability. And again, coming back to the Kabira's song, says, those who have sown thorns on your path, you sow flowers. तो को फूल के फूल है. As a result, you will have nothing but flowers in your experience. Wako hai tirsul. The inimical person will get threefold dagger in their consciousness. It's pleasing to note when you hear that he will get a big revenge. But the real idea is he will have threefold change. When you dream, there are three things have gone wrong. Dream subject is not real. The dream world is not real. Your experiences are not real. A trident has to hit with three prongs. Your feeling, I am the subject. I am the doer. The world is real. And experiences are all real. These three aspects, three ingredients of relative consciousness, they are all dug by three prongs of spiritual insight. You are God, Brahman, essentially. The world you are experiencing is also the same divine self. All your experiences led by your mind, etc., is in the realm of Maya. When you come to understand, again, you don't understand in one movement, but in a progressive movement. Bring divinity, divine within yourself. Look at the divine in others. Interpret your experiences in tune with God's will. As you do that, trident has gone after. So that's the way spiritual revenge is taken. A river in flood with mighty waves, you can cross that river. But chittavrittis, thought waves of your mind, shaken by the mighty storm of youth, cannot be crossed over as easy. It's more difficult in brief than crossing over big rivers in flood. Mano vipul moolanam, doshashi vishadharinam, shosharodan vikshanam, yauvanam bratakananam. O sage, Rama goes on saying, human youth is like a forest. Relatives, near and dear ones, wives, husbands, sons, daughters, possessions. They create, just like in a forest, there is a spring season, all the fruits, etc., come in and look so wonderful. So on one side, you have wonderful relations and a spring type of a situation. But then comes a monkey, comes a storm, or fire blazes into it, and then you go through tremendous torture. So youthful type of experience, that means I'm talking about physical youth, not spiritual, is like that, living in that type of forest. You're enjoying wonderful greenery, but then suddenly you start having trees fallen right on your head. The same relatives, same friends, and they become the source of intense torture. Closer the person, closer is the experience of torture. Youthful effervescence is like a storm, just like beautiful webs woven by spiders, and they are simply brushed away as the wind blows. In the same way, all your good studies, satsanga, study of scriptures, doing sadhanas, and many good things you have acquired, suddenly with the increase of rajas and tamas, the wind, when the storm comes, it gathers a lot of dust. It's an allegorical way of saying how rajas in you creates like a storm, a dust storm. And tamas in you becomes like a darkness. And that type of life is lived by countless people. When you don't have any spiritual purpose in life, day and night, all that you are thinking of, petty things. Even if you are thinking of getting millions, it is a petty attainment, not pretty. This youthful effervescence that doesn't have culture behind it, spiritual culture. It awakens all defects, doshas, not the dosha we eat, the dosha. All demoniac qualities, anger, hate, pride, jealousy, cruelty, terrorizing spirit. All these negativity are awakened and devastates all your virtuous qualities. This youthful stage is like a short moonlit night, or like the shining hair on the neck of a terrible tiger, or a ravaging wave in the ocean. I don't like it. And another, this youthful stage runs away from a person in a very short time. Just like an unfortunate man suddenly became fortunate, found a beautiful pearl in his hand. But something bit his toes and the pearl dropped from his hand. Hardly he enjoyed having the wonderful pearl that is gone. Hardly you enjoy being youthful and vibrant. That your ears begin to give you information. Your teeth begin to tatter. Your nose diminishes in its capacity. Those people are really adorable who utilize their youthful period of life in practicing yamas and yamas, non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, brahmacharya, practice of purity, and many other spiritual disciplines and developing spiritual qualities. If the youthful stage is directed in that amazing progress, spiritual progress can be attained. You will not age. I'm talking figuratively, because you are no longer body. You will retain eternal youthfulness. God is youthful all the time. So if youthful stage in you is well utilized, eternity of youth is waiting for you. You will live a life of Suyavan, youth, with that special, just like a blossom, waft fragrance. You will become the source of spring season, not fragrance ordinary. The whole world will be influenced, whether you know it or not. This type of youth that's decked by humility, satsanga, radiates peace and harmony and compassion. If that youth is possible, there is nothing greater than that attainment. But I find it very difficult. So, sage, what should we do? And with this, I'm going to conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.